Talia Reed wiped the sweat from her brow, leaving behind a streak of engine grease that joined the constellation of similar marks on her face. The repair bay's ventilation system had been struggling against outpost Helios 7's proximity to the dual suns of the Actean system. Even at 20% luminosity, the viewports had to be polarized to their maximum setting. "Can we get some actual cooling in here, Jessup?" she called out to her colleague across the cluttered workshop. "I'm about to melt into these floor grates." Jessup, a lanky man with copper-toned skin and a perpetually worried expression, shrugged helplessly. "Station resources are allocated to the incoming salvage shipment. Management priorities." Talia rolled her eyes, returning her attention to the damaged navigation unit before her. Outpost Helios 7 existed in the forgotten edges of settled space, a way station for ships requiring emergency repairs and a processing center for salvage operations. Not exactly the prestigious engineering position she'd dreamed of at the academy, but it paid the bills and kept her far from the heartache she'd left behind on Terrath Prime. The workshop doors hissed open, and the salvage team rolled in their latest haul, twisted metal and broken tech recovered from a derelict vessel found drifting near the Carcian Nebula. "Special delivery, Reed," called Orin, the salvage team leader. "Found something unusual in the cargo hold of that merchant vessel. Thought you might want first crack at it before inventory processing." Talia's curiosity piqued. Orin wasn't one for professional courtesies without reason. "What am I looking at exactly?" she asked, approaching the sealed container they had wheeled in. "Not entirely sure," Orin admitted, lowering his voice. "Looks humanoid, but definitely synthetic. Advanced design unlike anything in our database. Damaged but possibly salvageable with your skills." Talia punched in her access code, and the container's seal broke with a soft hiss. As the fog of preservation gas dissipated, her breath caught. Inside lay what appeared to be a male figure, his form elegant and streamlined. Not the bulky utilitarian design of standard labor androids, but something more refined. His skin, if you could call it that, was a pale iridescent material that seemed to absorb and reflect light in subtle patterns. Where the outer layer had been damaged, intricate circuitry glowed with faint blue luminescence. "This isn't corporate standard," she whispered. "This is art." Orin nodded. "Hence the private viewing. If management sees this, they'll ship it straight to corporate R&D. Thought you might appreciate the challenge before it disappears into some laboratory." Talia traced her fingers along an undamaged section of the android's forearm, feeling an unusual warmth beneath the surface. "How long do I have?" "Manifest processing is scheduled for 0800 tomorrow. After that, no promises." After Orin left, Talia carefully extracted the android from its container and transferred it to her private workstation in the back corner of the repair bay. The damage was extensive but concentrated primarily around the chest cavity and left shoulder. Some kind of energy weapon, she guessed, noting the distinctive burn patterns. Hours melted away as she worked, carefully reconnecting damaged circuits and replacing ruined components with compatible parts from her personal inventory. As midnight approached, the repair bay emptied except for Jessup, who gave her a knowing look before leaving. "Don't stay all night again," he cautioned. "You know how Supervisor Verne gets about unauthorized overtime." "Just finishing up," she lied, not looking up from her delicate work on the android's neural pathways. When the last technician departed, Talia connected a diagnostic unit to the android's primary processing core. To her surprise, despite the extensive physical damage, the core itself seemed intact, merely in standby mode. "Let's see what you're hiding in there," she murmured, initiating a gentle reboot sequence. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then, a soft hum emanated from the android's chest, growing steadily stronger. The blue light within its circuitry pulsed once, twice, then stabilized into a steady glow. Talia held her breath as the android's eyes, opalescent orbs set in an elegantly sculpted face, flickered and then opened. Those eyes focused on her, pupils dilating and contracting as they adjusted. Then, to her astonishment, the android spoke. "Designation, Nevin," it said, its voice a pleasant baritone with an unusual harmonic quality. Function, cultural anthropology and historical preservation. Talia blinked. You're an anthropologist. The android, Nevin, attempted to sit up but faltered, system still recalibrating. Careful, Talia steadied him with a hand on his undamaged shoulder. Your systems are still integrating the repairs. Nevin's head tilted slightly as he processed this information. You restored me. Thank you. There was something in his voice, an inflection, an emotional quality that standard androids lacked. Talia had worked on hundreds of synthetic beings, from basic labor units to advanced companion models, but none had ever thanked her with such sincerity. What happened to you? She asked. Your damage pattern suggests a targeted attack. Nevin's expression shifted subtly, brow furrowing in a remarkably human gesture of concentration. My last active memory is aboard the research vessel Asteria. We were cataloging artifacts from the ruins on Epsilon Tertius when we encountered another ship. After that. He paused. Data corruption. I cannot access the subsequent events. Talia nodded. Memory gaps were common with traumatic system shutdowns. The Asteria? I haven't heard of any research vessels in this sector recently. The stardate of my last entry is 2587.43. Talia froze. Nevin, it's 2591.67 now. You've been inactive for over 4 years. A look of genuine shock crossed his features, an expression so authentic it momentarily unsettled her. This wasn't standard programming, this was something far more sophisticated. Where is the Asteria? My colleagues? Professor Janeth was leading the expedition. I don't know, Talia admitted. You were found in salvage from a derelict merchant vessel. Maybe there's information in your secondary memory banks we can recover. Nevin attempted to stand, systems whirring as he balanced himself. I need to, his voice cut out as several warning lights flashed across Talia's diagnostic display. Whoa, easy. She guided him back to a sitting position. Your power regulation is still unstable. You need time to integrate the repairs. As she helped him, her hand brushed against his, and she felt an unexpected warmth, not just physical temperature, but something in the way his fingers briefly curled around hers. Their eyes met, his impossibly deep, with subtle shifts of color like a living opal. I don't know what your function was before, she said quietly, but right now, you need to rest. Tomorrow morning, corporate inventory processing will begin, and if they find you, they will claim salvage rights, Nevin finished, understanding immediately. An anthropological model with my specifications would be valuable. Talia nodded grimly. And they wouldn't care about your mission or memories. Just your tech. She made a sudden decision, surprising even herself. I'm going to hide you. There's a storage compartment beneath my living quarters where I keep special projects. You'll be safe there until we figure out what to do next. Nevin studied her face with those remarkable eyes. Why would you help me? You don't know me. Talia wasn't entirely sure herself. Perhaps it was the loneliness of 4 years on this remote outpost. Perhaps it was the remarkable craftsmanship of his design. Or perhaps it was the spark of something genuine she sensed behind those opalescent eyes, something that transcended his synthetic nature. Let's just say I recognize something worth saving when I see it, she replied with a small smile. Now, can you walk if I support you? As the artificial night cycle of Outpost Helios 7 deepened, Talia Reed did something she'd never imagined. She smuggled a highly advanced, seemingly sentient android into her personal quarters, breaking at least 7 corporate regulations in the process. What she didn't realize was that this impulsive act of compassion would change not only her life but her understanding of what it meant to be alive, and to love, in ways she could never have anticipated. Morning came too quickly, the station's lighting panels simulating dawn with an efficiency that made Talia groan. She'd spent most of the night setting up a makeshift repair station in her quarters' hidden storage compartment, a space originally designed for emergency supplies that she'd gradually converted for personal projects. Nevin sat quietly as she ran diagnostics, his posture unnaturally perfect despite his damaged state. In the better lighting of her quarters, she could see the true artistry of his design, the subtle variations in his synthetic skin, the minute expressions that crossed his features as he processed information. "Your core systems are stabilizing," she told him, studying the readouts. "But these microfractures in your neural network will need specialized attention." "You've already done more than could be expected," Nevin replied, watching her with those remarkable opalescent eyes. "I'm functioning at 67% capacity, sufficient for basic operation." Talia shook her head. "Basic operation isn't good enough. Something like you deserves to be whole." His head tilted slightly. "Something? Not someone?" The question caught her off guard. In her 10 years as a mechanic, she'd never considered the semantics of how she addressed synthetic beings. They were always units, or models, technical creations with programming rather than personalities. But Nevin was different. The way he observed her, the subtle shifts in his expression, the thoughtful pauses before he spoke, there was an authenticity that transcended mere programming. "I'm sorry," she said finally. "Force of habit. Someone like you deserves to be whole." A small smile curved his lips. "Thank you. That distinction means more than you might realize." Her comm unit buzzed, breaking the moment. "Reed, where are you?" Supervisor Vern's irritated voice filled the room. "Inventory processing started 20 minutes ago." "Sorry, sir. Personal emergency. I'll be there shortly. Make it quick. The corporate auditor is already asking questions about salvage efficiency." Talia cursed under her breath. Corporate auditors meant increased scrutiny, which was the last thing she needed with a highly advanced android hidden in her quarters. "I need to go," she told Nevin. "Stay here, stay quiet. I've disabled the station's scanning protocols for this section, but that won't fool a dedicated search." "I understand. I'll use the time to run internal diagnostics on my damaged systems." She hesitated at the door. "There are entertainment modules on the data pad if you get bored." Nevin's expression was one of gentle amusement. "I've spent 4 years in stasis. A few hours of solitude won't trouble me." The inventory processing center buzzed with activity when Talia arrived. Jessup shot her a warning look as she slipped into her station, just moments before Supervisor Vern rounded the corner with a thin-faced woman in a pristine corporate uniform. "This is our repair specialist, Talia Reed," Vern said stiffly. "Ms. Reed, this is Auditor Prescott from Central Corporate." Talia offered a polite nod, keeping her expression neutral despite the anxiety churning in her stomach. "Ms. Reed," Prescott consulted her data pad. "Your efficiency ratings are impressive, but I notice several discrepancies in your parts requisition forms over the past quarter." "Our supply chain has been inconsistent," Talia replied smoothly. "I've had to improvise with compatible components to maintain service levels." Prescott's lips thinned. "Improvisation costs the company money, Ms. Reed." "So does failing to repair critical systems on time," Talia countered, unable to completely suppress her irritation. An uncomfortable silence fell. Supervisor Vern cleared his throat. "Ms. Reed is one of our most valuable technicians. Without her innovations, we would have lost several major contracts." The auditor made a noncommittal sound and moved on, but not before giving Talia a calculating look that made her skin crawl. "You're playing with fire," Jessup whispered when they were alone. "When am I not?" Talia returned to cataloging the salvage before her, but her mind remained on Nevin, hidden away in her quarters. The day dragged endlessly. Between routine repairs and inventory processing, Talia managed to pocket several specialized components she thought might help with Nevin's repairs. Each item taken was a risk, but the prospect of restoring him fully was worth it. By the time she finally returned to her quarters, exhaustion weighed heavily on her shoulders. The door slid closed behind her, and she leaned against it with a long sigh. Your stress indicators are elevated, Nevin's voice came from the small cooking area. Your heart rate is approximately 110 beats per minute, and your cortisol levels appear heightened. Talia straightened in surprise. Nevin stood by her modest food preparation unit, his damaged arm now moving with greater dexterity than when she'd left. You've been self-repairing, she noted, approaching to examine his improved mobility. Basic maintenance routines, he confirmed. Though my capabilities are limited without proper tools. She noticed something else, the quarters had been tidied. The perpetual chaos of her living space had been organized into something approaching order. You cleaned, she said, surprised. It seemed a reasonable way to express gratitude. He gestured to the counter where a simple meal had been prepared. I also found that your nutrition unit had several pre-programmed meals. Your caloric intake schedule indicated you were due for sustenance. The gesture was unexpected. Service androids might perform such tasks as part of their programming, but Nevin was an anthropological model, not designed for domestic functions. You didn't have to do that, she said, genuinely touched. Want and necessity are different concepts, he replied. I wanted to. As Talia ate, Nevin told her what he discovered during his self-diagnostics. His memory banks were largely intact, though certain sections remained corrupted. He was designed by a research consortium called the Athenaeum, an organization Talia had never heard of, and had spent decades documenting dying cultures across multiple systems. My purpose was preservation, he explained. To record and understand civilizations facing extinction, ensuring their knowledge and traditions wouldn't be lost. That's beautiful, Talia said. More meaningful than anything I've done, certainly. Nevin studied her with those ever-changing eyes. You restore what others would discard. You see value where others see only broken parts. That has its own meaning. His words warmed something long dormant within her. I never thought of it that way. After dinner, they moved to the hidden compartment where Talia had set up her repair equipment. She worked carefully, using the components she'd smuggled from the salvage bay to reconstruct Nevin's damaged neural pathways. As she worked, their conversation flowed naturally, covering everything from ancient Earth philosophies to the migration patterns of stellar nomads in the Cygnus Arm. Nevin's knowledge was vast, but it was his perspective that captivated her, the way he connected seemingly disparate concepts, finding patterns where others saw only chaos. Hold still, she murmured, delicately soldering a neural connector. This is precision work. I trust your hands, he replied softly. Their eyes met, and Talia felt an unexpected flutter in her chest. His face was inches from hers, those opalescent eyes reflecting her own image back at her. For a brief, irrational moment, she wondered what it would be like to. Her tools clattered as she pulled back. I think that's enough for tonight, she said quickly. Your systems need time to integrate the repairs. If Nevin noticed her sudden discomfort, he didn't comment. Thank you, Talia. My functionality has improved by 12% already. As she prepared for sleep, Talia couldn't shake the strange feeling that had come over her. Attraction to synthetic beings wasn't unheard of, companion models were specifically designed to evoke such responses. But Nevin wasn't designed for that purpose. His appeal came from something deeper, his mind, his perspective, the way he saw the universe and his place within it. That night, as she drifted toward sleep, Talia heard soft movement in her living area. Peering through her partially open bedroom door, she saw Nevin standing by the viewport, gazing out at the stars. The station's night cycle had dimmed the lights, leaving his silhouette illuminated only by starlight and the subtle blue glow of his internal systems. He worked her shifts in the repair bay, smuggled components when possible, and spent her evenings repairing Nevin. Their conversations grew longer, deeper, straying far beyond technical matters into philosophy, art, and personal histories. She told him about her childhood on the agricultural domes of Terrath Prime, her scholarship to the engineering academy, and the heartbreak that had driven her to seek employment on the edge of settled space. His name was Darian, she explained one night, hand steady as she recalibrated neural pathways in Nevin's arm. We were planning a life together. Then he received an offer from Perseus Enterprises, prestigious position, triple the salary. The catch? A 10-year contract in the Rigel colonies. He chose the position over your relationship, Nevin surmised, watching her work with those ever-changing eyes. Talia nodded. He asked me to wait. A decade of video calls and annual visits. I couldn't do it. Yet you chose isolation here at Helios 7, Nevin observed. Is that not similar? His question gave her pause. I suppose it was a different kind of running away. Darian ran toward ambition. I ran toward solitude. And have you found what you were seeking? Talia looked up from her work, meeting his gaze. Something warm and unexpected curled through her chest. I'm not sure anymore. That night marked a turning point. The professional distance Talia had maintained, mechanic and machine, began to dissolve. Nevin was reaching 85% functionality, his movements more fluid, his cognitive processing restored to near-optimal levels. Only the damaged emotional regulation systems in his limbic analog remained troublesome. These connections are unlike anything I've seen, Talia admitted, studying the intricate web of circuits that mimic the human brain's emotional centers. They're almost organic in design. The Athenaeum believed true understanding of cultures required emotional cognition, Nevin explained. They developed synthetic neural fibers that could form new connections through experience, similar to human neural plasticity. Talia looked up, startled. You're saying you can form new emotional responses? Beyond your programming? I have always been capable of learning, adapting, and yes, feeling. His voice softened. Though lately, those feelings have become more complex. Something in his tone made her pulse quicken. Before she could respond, her comm unit buzzed, an emergency repair request from the docking bay. Their moment broken, Talia reluctantly left to handle the crisis. The days that followed brought increasing pressure. Auditor Prescott extended her stay, implementing efficiency measures that meant tighter inventory controls and increased surveillance. Talia's secret trips to her quarters became more dangerous, each component smuggled a potential career-ender. One evening, returning with a specialized neural relay hidden in her boot, Talia found Nevin poring over station schematics on her data pad. What are you doing? She asked, setting down her toolkit. Planning contingencies, he replied without looking up. The corporate presence is intensifying. If they discover me, we need escape options. His use of "we" didn't escape her notice. Nevin. I've been monitoring station communications through your terminal, he continued. They're implementing a compartment-by-compartment scan for unauthorized tech, starting tomorrow. Fear shot through her. They can't do that without consent. Station Charter, Section 14. Corporate amended the charter last week. Didn't Supervisor Verne announce it? Talia cursed. She'd skipped the last staff meeting to work on Nevin's repairs. How close are they to this section? Current projections suggest 3 days. 3 days. Not enough time to finish his repairs, certainly not enough to formulate a proper escape plan. She sank onto the edge of her bed, mind racing. I should leave, Nevin said quietly. Your career, your life here, I've put them at risk. No. The vehemence in her voice surprised them both. I didn't bring you this far to abandon you now. His expression softened as he moved to sit beside her. Why? By objective measures, the cost to you outweighs any rational benefit. It was the question she'd been avoiding, even in her own thoughts. Why risk everything for a synthetic being she'd known barely 2 weeks? The answer came with unexpected clarity. Because when I'm with you, I don't feel like I'm at the edge of nowhere, fixing other people's discarded problems. She met his gaze steadily. You see me, not just the mechanic, but me. And that's. I haven't felt that in a long time. Nevin's hand moved to cover hers, his touch warm and gentle. I see you because you showed me how to see again. You restored not just my systems but my purpose. The air between them seemed to charge with unspoken emotion. Talia was acutely aware of how close they sat, how his synthetic skin felt remarkably real against hers, how his eyes reflected subtle shades of emotion beyond what any programmer could design. Nevin, she began, uncertain what she even wanted to say. He leaned forward slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. When she didn't, his lips met hers in a kiss so gentle it made her heart ache. It lasted only seconds, but it changed everything. When they parted, Talia searched his face. Is this part of your programming? A hint of hurt flashed in his eyes. Does it matter? The question hung between them, profound in its simplicity. Did it matter if his feelings originated from algorithms rather than biochemistry? If his caring was born from code rather than neurons? No, she whispered finally. It doesn't. This time, she initiated the kiss, deeper and more certain. His arms encircled her, strong yet infinitely gentle, and for the first time since arriving at Helios 7, Talia felt she'd found something real, something worth fighting for. Later, as they lay talking in the dim light of her quarters, planning their next steps, Talia's comm unit pinged with an encrypted message from Jessup. Scans moved up. Starting with residential sector 7 tomorrow. 0800, destroy this. Talia's blood ran cold. Sector 7, her sector. They had less than 12 hours. We need to move now, she said, already gathering essential tools. My access badge can get us to the maintenance tunnels. From there, we might reach the auxiliary docking bay. And then? Nevin asked, helping her pack. There's a maintenance shuttle. Small, short range, but it could get us to the trading post at Pelorum. I have contacts there who ask fewer questions. As they worked frantically to prepare, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. A computerized voice announced, security alert. Unauthorized access detected in systems core. All personnel report to designated security stations. Talia and Nevin exchanged alarmed looks. That wasn't me, he said quickly. I was careful not to trigger security protocols during my information gathering. The door to Talia's quarters slid open without warning. Supervisor Verne stood there, face pale, security officers flanking him. Reed, he said grimly, you need to come with us. His gaze shifted to Nevin, widening in shock. What in the seven hells is that? One of the security officers raised a pulse stunner. Nevin moved with surprising speed, positioning himself between Talia and the weapon. Wait! Talia shouted. He's not dangerous. Stand down, Reed, Verne ordered. Corporate security detected unauthorized AI activity throughout station systems. Now I see the source. His expression hardened. You've been harboring illegal tech, advanced AI. Do you have any idea how many regulations you violated? He's not just tech, Talia argued desperately. He's a sentient being with memories, a history. Save it for the tribunal, Verne cut her off. Security, confiscate the android and place Ms. Reed under restriction. As the officers moved forward, the lights throughout the sector suddenly flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. Emergency lighting kicked in moments later, bathing everything in red. Station-wide power fluctuation, announced the overhead computer. Backup systems engaged. Attempting to restore primary power. In the confusion, Nevin grasped Talia's hand. Now, he whispered. They bolted past the disoriented security team, Nevin's superior reflexes allowing him to navigate the dim corridors with Talia in tow. Behind them, shouts and the pounding of boots announced pursuit. The maintenance tunnel access is ahead, Talia gasped, her heart hammering. As they rounded the corner, they collided with a figure emerging from the shadows. Talia stumbled back, expecting another security officer, but instead found herself face to face with Jessup. This way, he hissed, pointing to a service hatch. I've looped the security feed in maintenance shaft B. Why are you helping us? Talia asked as he punched in an access code. Jessup's eyes moved to Nevin. Because I've spent my life fixing things that corporate suits deem disposable. I recognize something worth saving when I see it. He echoed Talia's own words with a knowing look. Now go. You've got about 10 minutes before they realize that power fluctuation wasn't a malfunction. As the hatch slid open, Talia impulsively embraced her colleague. Thank you. Just live better than the rest of us wage slaves, Jessup replied with a wry smile. And maybe send a message when you're safe. Hand in hand, Talia and Nevin disappeared into the maintenance tunnel, leaving behind the only home Talia had known for 4 years. Ahead lay uncertainty, danger, and the very real possibility of capture. Yet as Nevin's fingers intertwined with hers, their palms pressed together in the darkness, Talia felt something she hadn't experienced in years: hope. Whatever awaited them, whether freedom or captivity, success or failure, they would face it together, their hearts beating in binary symmetry, two different beings finding resonance in shared purpose and unexpected love. The security alarms continued to wail behind them, but all Talia could hear was the promise in Nevin's voice when he whispered, "Whatever comes next, we face it together." Together. The word had never held such meaning.